Tonight is part one of our Supporting Your Boilermakers. So we are going to talk tonight with a number of our Cultural Center representatives, as well as our Academic Success Center. So you'll see a lot of panelists here on your screen tonight. I'm going to be, I'm Jen Wetley. If for those of you who do not know me, I'm the Assistant Director for Parent and Family Connections. And so we are so happy to be working alongside with John Gibson's team with the summer sessions to bring you another parent panel this evening for our summer and early start students. We're going to start out tonight with some updates from John Gibson.
Sorry, I was muted there. So, hey everybody, thank you. John Gibson, Director of Summer Session. Happy to see about 57 of you virtually again this evening. So your students completed their first day, on-campus day of their classes. I've had about 70 of them in my class this afternoon. So I was really happy to see them, happy to see them around campus. I know they did a great job throughout orientation weekend. And all I keep hearing from them is how happy they are to be on campus. So no offense to you, but I do keep asking them, do you want to go home if students don't follow the Purdue Pledge? And every one of them says no, they absolutely want to stay on campus throughout the year. So we're excited to have them here. Excited to see them enjoying their time as well. A couple small updates. You all should have received a message from me this afternoon about a breaking news update from WLFI, our local news agency, that our mayor has decided that masks are now mandatory across West Lafayette. So not only here at Purdue University, where we already have the Protect Purdue Pledge, masks are mandatory as part of that. Students must also now wear mask or facial coverings across the entire city. Students who do not wear masks in locations like Chauncey Hill are subject to a $100 fine on their first offense and a $250 fine for any subsequent offenses. So the mayor really stepped up the game on masks earlier today. Your students have all been provided with that PPE kit. If they don't have a PPE kit for some reason, please reach out to me. We'll get one to them. All of your students also have been given a face shield. So that's something we put together. They were 3D printed here at Purdue University, because as you can imagine, it's pretty hard to find 40,000 face shields for the fall semester. We were able to get one for every one of them. We also sent you an email last night. We do know that some our test results have been coming back. If your students have not viewed their test results, please encourage them to check their email, because their results would be sitting in there. If you have students who aren't used to checking their email yet, which maybe some of them aren't the best at checking that, encourage them to do so, because that's going to be our official means of communication with the student. But to provide you a little peace of mind, if your student had tested positive, the Protect Purdue Health Center would call. There's another safeguard in place. So I'm really happy to have our panel tonight, which is the focus really on supporting your student here at Purdue University now that their classes have started. So at this time, I'm going to kick it back over to Jen. We can send it down the line on our panel. And I will stay on tonight for any questions that may come up at parents. And if at any time anything comes up, any questions you have, feel free to send them directly to me or to thinksummer@purdue.edu, and we'll answer them as soon as we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Just to let all of our attendees know tonight that we do have a question and answer on the right-hand side of your screen. You should be able to ask any of our questions to our panelists. We do have a member of Parent and Family Connections behind the scenes that will be feeding me those questions a little bit later on. So if you have a question that comes in your mind now, feel free to go ahead and plop it into that question and answer tab, and then we'll ask those to our panelists here at the end. We are going to start off tonight with the Black Cultural Center. So we're going to do our cultural connections first, and we have a video from our BCC that I'm going to share. So give me just a moment. I'm going to share my screen here.
Founded in 1969 as a part of the university's response to sweeping social change, the Purdue Black Cultural Center has grown into the focal point for African American experience and a force for cultural enrichment and intellectual growth of all who pass through its portal. The Black Cultural Center provides purposeful, holistic, scholarly, and co-curricular programming designed to strengthen understanding of African American heritage. The BCC is home to an impressive African art collection featuring authentic African artifacts, wood carvings, mask and ceremonial pieces, as well as original artwork by African American artists. Established between 1971 and 1975, the Black Cultural Center Performing Arts Ensemble comprised a university-wide arts education program. New Directional Players is a theatrical company that presents thought-provoking drama about the African American experience. Right, soon, you're going to give that guitar. You're going to be able to play anything your heart's desire. Yeah, boy, you're gonna be able to play that thing until your fingers bleed. That is, as long as he lets you. Because he's gonna come back with his own guitar, and you're gonna have to accompany him. And that's whether you want to or not. Jahari Dance Troupe is trained in traditional and contemporary dance styles ranging from African, ballet, tap, and modern dance. Haraka writers are committed to the literary expression of African American experience through poetry, short stories, and essays. And the Black Voices of Inspiration, whose award-winning repertoire includes spirituals, gospel, jazz, and contemporary songs of inspiration. The four ensembles use the arts to examine, explore, and commemorate the experiences and contributions of people of African descent throughout the African diaspora. The Black Cultural Center Library houses more than 7,000 volumes and is a treasured resource. The Black Cultural Center stands as a tribute to the toil, commitment, and courage of all those who dared to dream and work to forge the reality of a vital and vibrant Black Cultural Center.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renee Thomas, and I serve as director of the Purdue University Black Cultural Center. And I first want to start out by saying congratulations to each and every one of you for the stellar academic performance that your son or daughter has had to gain admission to Purdue University. We are thrilled that they will be with us on campus and excited that they're already here as well. At the Black Cultural Center, there's two things that we're committed to. The first is academic excellence, and the second is cultural pride. We know that students who tend to have a positive self-identity do better academically than those who do not. And we achieve that through our performing arts ensembles. If any of your students are involved in the performing arts, we would love to get them engaged at the Black Cultural Center. And even if they're not involved in the arts, we still have what we call a home away from home for our students at the Black Cultural Center. We really play a critical role in ensuring that we create a sense of community for our students and a sense of belonging for our students. We believe, just like all the other cultural centers, that it is not an exclusive organization just for African Americans or Black students. We are open to the entire campus community. Part of our goal is to help acquaint and educate everyone with the contributions of African Americans. And it's becoming more and more imperative that we do that. I'm sure that all of you probably have had some activities in your communities relative to the Black Lives Matter movement, and we anticipate that there will probably be some activity on our campus as well. And the Black Cultural Center really wants to play a role in helping people to understand and recognize the importance of telling the American story in its totality. So I hope that each and every one of your students will visit the Black Cultural Center and know that we're committed to academic excellence and cultural affirmation and pride. Our center's hours are going to be a little bit abbreviated this fall semester. Typically, we're open 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. We have modified our hours, so we'll be on an 8 to 5 schedule. And it is a place in which we want to develop community. We know that there's close to 40,000 students on campus, and out of those 40,000, about 1,200 are African American. So the Black Cultural Center plays a vital role in assisting the students in not only, but also a sense of community. So I will be available to answer any questions that you may have at the end of the presentation. I elected to use a video, even though it was a little bit sporadic, because I know that we all have different learning styles, and wanted to provide a visual learning aid for many of you as well. So thank you for being here. I'm excited to meet each and every one of you and to have some personal interaction with your child here at Purdue.
All right, so our next area that we are going to, let me get this, see if I get this PowerPoint. All right, I think we're good. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms tonight, so if you're not already familiar with them, there might be a quiz at the end, so here we go. After the BCC, we are going to have the Asian American and Asian Resource and Cultural Center. I think I got that right. Pamela, do you have anything that you would like to, can you please introduce yourself? Sorry.
Yes, Pamela Sari. I direct the Asian American and Asian Resource and Cultural Center, or we dearly call the ARC for short. If you're on your cell phone right now, I would encourage to follow us on social media that we have here. If your phone has a QR code capability, you can just point your phone to these QR codes and it will take you to our social media links. That might be your first engagement with our center tonight. So, but again, I'm echoing Renee and congratulating all of you for being such a wonderful community to our new and incoming students. So thank you for being that community. I myself is a parent. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, so still a long way away. So perhaps on the Q&A or in the message, I would definitely need to learn some wisdom from you all. So would appreciate your help as well. Can I get the next slide, please? Thank you. So Purdue ARC was founded in spring 2015 after more than a decade long of student, faculty, staff activism on campus. They felt that they needed a space on campus where they can explore Asian and Asian American identities, and also a space where they can share our identities with campus at large. So this is the result of that activism. We are the youngest of the cultural centers, so we have a lot of rooms to grow. Our mission is to weave Asian and Asian American experiences into our campus. Our name is long and it's very thoughtfully intended because we see the different histories of Asian international and Asian American communities, but we also see intersecting histories of these two communities. We want to build bridges among our own communities, but we also want to share what those diverse experiences like on our community, to our community at large. As it is true with the other cultural centers, we are equipped with I like about our current location is that, as you see, it looks like a house. It is a house, right? And so there is that semi-professional atmosphere, but also it provides a homey atmosphere for many of our students. We have a lobby that can serve as a meeting room or for students to work together. We have an ITAB computer lab. We have a conference room. We have a library. And also we have a shared outdoor space that students and our communities can use for different purposes. So next slide, please. So in our programming, we try to build these three elements. We build the teaching and learning experiences or pedagogy. We include cultural programming and also advocacy. So if we are to summarize this, we provide different entry points for people who might identify as Asian and Asian Americans and to our communities. In terms of our pedagogy, we do so through different programming. One of them is our weekly Lunch and Learn series, where we bring in speakers, faculty, staff, units, students, student organizations on campus to talk about the diversity of Asian and Asian American communities. We also do our learning space by inviting speakers from outside of our campus, public figures, our alumni to come back and present on different issues. This is important. We also have an event called Reality, Conversation on Mental Health. Increasingly now, mental health conversations become very important for us and for our dear students. So we collaborate with the counseling and psychological services on campus. They come every week, have office hours or student hours at the center, and we also do programming with them. We just started our initiative called ARC Research Lab, where we will do different research on, again, these communities. We do writing group, and also academically, we have connection with the Asian American Studies program. Our cultural programming provides a warm, welcoming atmosphere for people who might not be familiar with deeper issues in the Asian and Asian American communities, but are familiar with all the celebrations that we have. So we have Lunar New Year celebration, and we are also starting a lion dance team. In terms of advocacy, we do social media thematic content. We also work with our student organizations and faculty and staff to discuss different political issues that might be happening at Purdue and in the nation. And we also provide training and resources. Next slide. So perhaps your question might be, how can we help, right? If you go to our website and social media, we have rich resources that you can start the conversation with students and your family members. If you have students who identify as Asian and Asian American, some of these issues are pertinent to them. That's when you can start the intergenerational conversations with our students about their identity. Again, identity development in college campuses are very important. I can send you research related to that, but it would be a good conversation to start with your students. Hey, I know that the ARC is organizing this event. Did you come? What did you learn from the event, right? Be the friends of the ARC. We send out a weekly newsletter. Partner with us in our initiatives in different ways. Send us your interest in to this email, aarcc@purdue.edu. And lastly, learn together with us on the diversity of Asian and Asian American experiences and struggles. So include Asian and Asian American history and experiences in your daily life, in your classes, your trainings, your workspace, your business, right? In your conversation, holiday conversation. So that's in short. I hope you will be able to continue working with us and partner with us. Thank you.
All right, let me go over to the next. And next up, we have the Latino Cultural Center. Give me just a moment and see if I can get that one up and going. All right, Karina, are you on?
Hello, yes, I am.
All right.
I had sort of a
Nope, sorry. Would you like to introduce
venue
yourself,
change.
please? Yes, thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Buenas tardes. My name is Karina Olaru, and I'm the director of the Latino Cultural Center at Purdue University. You can go to the next slide, please. So the LCC, as we call it, was established in 2003, and like the ARC, it was established out of student activism and demand with the support of faculty and staff. Our mission statement is up there, but essentially what we try to do is create meaningful dialogue and cultural understanding across campus. And we know that that will help to create a more inclusive environment for students, for faculty, for staff. And from the beginning, our motto has been all are welcome, or todos son bienvenidos, or todos sal bem-vindos. Next slide, please. So like all of the cultural centers, when a student walks in to the center or when a student asks about the cultural center, usually the first question that we get is, how do I join? Another one is, how do I join? How do I sign up? What does a cultural center do? And maybe sometimes they'll say like, well, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm uncomfortable, or why is everyone speaking English? And we say, just come in, and we'll figure it out together. And so the resources, not only include the things that I was talking about before in terms of cultural understanding, but part of it is the physical facilities and the resources within the actual building. So there we have an ITAP computer lab, a library, a conference room. We have a garden called Jardín Semillas, the ACE Campus Food Pantry, a lounge and shared spaces, a kitchen, and then we share outdoor space, and we also have a student employee office. And so all those things become what students call a home away from home, and they really utilize a space in which they can study. Lots of times they might come in there saying, I really miss home, or I can't find community. And so we just try to connect them with other students who are there daily. Once a student finds, I think most of the cultural centers, they really make it their place on campus where they just, they feel that sense of belonging, they feel welcomed, and so they keep coming back. So they're utilizing the spaces in many, many different ways, and we encourage that. Next slide, and I'm going to show you some of the space in the next slide here. So in the upper right corner, for example, you could see you walk in, or I guess one of the things that you notice when you look at these images is that it is very intentionally warm colors that might remind you of your abuela's house or your tia's house, or una casa in Latin America or something like that. We were very intentional with the space that we moved into in May of 2017. And we really thought about what struggles are our students facing, or what struggles are they going to be facing 5 years from now, and what joys do they have, and what are they bringing to the table when they come to this institution. And so we really looked at things like social justice and issues of immigration. We wanted our international students to also feel like this was their space. And so everything on the wall is very clearly showing also that Latinos, or the Latinx community, is very diverse, right? Not everyone looks like me with this skin tone and this hair color. We're very diverse. And so our images on our walls also represent that. Next slide, please. Our student enrollment always hovers around 5%. And you can see here that it continuously grows each year. And we know that the Hispanic student enrollment across the nation is going to grow each year, very much so, and soon enough will be the majority across college campuses. Next slide, please. So one of the ways that we could help support students or resource students is through connecting them with student organizations. So again, as parents, I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about how my father and I became very close when I was a college student in Chicago, Illinois. And I started to study Latin American and Latino studies. And through that, I would ask him questions about Mexico, because that's where he's from, or would ask him if he's read certain authors. And he started coming with me to the different events that even student organizations had or our own cultural center at that campus had. And it was a really beautiful way to connect with my family. So don't be shy about talking to your children, your students, right? About what are they learning, what kinds of student organizations, if they're like, oh, I'm not sure if I should go, please encourage them. There's so many different student organizations. These are just a few of the Latinx-based student organizations, and you'll see there that some of them also include intersectional identities. But this is one way that we connect students, and we do meet with all these student organizations every other week through our Latinx Student Council, and so we know through them what's going on campus. We know who's getting awards. We know who needs money to go to a conference. We know, a lot of things that are happening through our student organizations. So we try to stay connected to them. Next slide, please. So one of the ways that we promote cultural understanding for a more inclusive environment across campus is through our programming. Some of these here are signature event. I love the picture on the top right-hand corner. That is from our first Latinx graduation ceremony that actually occurred in the year 2002, which is before we even had a Latino Cultural Center. And so you'll see, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 7 students at that graduation ceremony. And this ceremony is one of our favorite signature events because it's a time where we can celebrate students and their families, right? Graduating students are able to nominate whomever helped them the most or they feel really impacted them in a positive manner throughout their academic career. We also choose students to highlight, and we also appreciate our campus partners with awards in this ceremony. And so the ceremony is in English, it's in Spanish. If we have Brazilian students graduate, it's in Portuguese. It might be in Portañol, it might be in Spanglish, but it really is a time where we want, the abuelos, the tias, the primos, we want them to feel appreciated and know that they had a really important role. To date, we have about anywhere from 30 to 40 students who will participate, and they each get to bring about 10 people. So our our numbers for this event is usually about 300 to 400 participants, including family members. So it's a really great event that we look forward to having you there in about 4 or 5 years. Next slide, please. We also celebrate Latinx Heritage Month with a variety of events, and we just wanted to show you here how diverse the events that we have are, right? We always try to move away from the fact that cultural centers are not just food, fun, and fiesta. Now, we do have fun and we do have food, but we also are an academic space, a space of learning, a space of creating that cultural understanding and having meaningful dialogue and having difficult conversations. And so you'll note the word Latinx on there, right? So this certain year, we really, one year we talked about that word Latinx, and we talked about LGBTQ communities within Latinx communities, right? And how difficult it may be to have these conversations in our own communities. And so this centered around there. And then you'll see we also had the first Hispanic woman in space, Ellen Ochoa, visit us this last September. And that was a really great event for so many of our students who are in that, in study physics or different aspects of engineering. And so it was really cool to have her on campus and people loved it. So that's just showing a little bit of those events that we have. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Again, we want to support students. We want to support them in ways that they need, right? So this, depending on like national discussions or local issues, what students are facing, we want them to know that our programming is student-centered, right? And so we give them opportunities for growth to become leaders. We do have student employees, undergraduate student employees at the Latino Cultural Center. And then oftentimes if we see, students becoming more and more a part of the LCC, we get to know them on a personal level so we could connect them to different internships or different opportunities. So here are just some of them. We've traveled with students to different conferences in Indiana, in Chicago, and we've planned day trips to the National Museum of Mexican Art. We have different faculty chats with students. We've worked with the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance, and we're trying to work with them again. So there's opportunities for students to volunteer. They can ask us, we want to learn about machismo, for instance. And so we'll say, okay, let's see who can talk about it. And do you want to help plan that program? And so they're getting, experience applying for grants and things of that nature through our leadership and guidance. And so they really grow. This is my 4th year here. And so I've been able to see students from their 1st year to their 4th year and graduate. And it's been really exciting to see them come in shy maybe or unsure of themselves and then leave just as, boss. So it's really great. Next slide, please. So yeah, this is a picture of our house. It sits next to the ARC and next to the Native American and Educational Cultural Center, which you're going to hear from in a little while. But the house is open to everyone. Like Renee mentioned, we are having different hours due to the pandemic that's happening. So we'll be open until 5 o'clock, whereas usually we're open till 9. So Monday through Friday till 5 p.m. And we hope that you encourage your students to visit. We hope we meet you. And if you have any questions, I'll be here at the end.
All right, thank you so much. Let me stop sharing this. And we will go on to, I think Lowell is next.
Sure.
Lowell, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, I will get this slide.
Definitely. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Lowell Kane. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am the director of the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Center, which we just call the LGBTQ Center on campus. The LGBTQ Center opened in 2012, and we are located in Schliemann Hall of Student Services on the 2nd floor in room 230. And actually, you can advance that slide. That's just our sort of cover page. But the LGBTQ Center, like our other cultural centers that we are hearing from as part of the Division of Diversity and Inclusion, is a mission-driven resource center that's open to all people on our campus. We have a fantastic resource center on campus that focuses on gender and sexuality, and the resources that we provide are really mission-driven, focusing on education, outreach, and support. We have a pretty long, detailed mission that's on our website, and we invite folks to check out our website because that's also a great place to sign up for things like our weekly newsletter, also to find out how to stay connected in regards to our social media. But I would definitely encourage folks to just know that the research around inclusion and also the research around involvement in cultural centers really clearly indicates that these kinds of crucial supports shows that students, staff, and faculty who are involved and who are engaged in all of these cultural centers that you're hearing from tonight, it helps students develop that sense of community, and that we know has a direct correlation to persistence and success, and really from orientation all the way up through graduation and beyond. And so for us, it's just really a joy to have these conversations and to connect with you now at the very beginning of the career. And so we're thrilled to have the opportunity to speak with you this evening. The center that we have set up in Schliemann Hall, we call it a dedicated safe zone or a safe space. So it means that it's a welcoming and an affirming location for all people where you can come, you can ask questions, you can seek resources. You will always know that there are staff people there that you can talk to and really find out any information that you might need to know. We are a hands-on really resource for everything. And so if you need help, if you need to contact someone, whether you're student, staff, faculty, community member, or parent, alumni, always feel free to reach out to our cultural centers, and the LGBTQ Center is always here to help. I think we can advance the next slide. As I mentioned, we have 4 staff members. We have the director, the assistant director, program coordinator and office manager. We also have student employees. We have a graduate assistant position, and we have student intern opportunities. So students can intern at the LGBTQ Center and earn up to 3 credit hours. So if they're interested in that, I'm more than happy to talk to folks about how internships can work for earning credit. It's usually through the College of Liberal Arts. And we're also, as Karina, I think, mentioned, deeply embedded in supporting the academic mission of the institution through our cultural centers. And so, as I mentioned, that internship is for college credit. We also do a lot of support for academic programs. We do a lot of partnership with academic programs, and through the LGBTQ Center, students can also participate in study abroad opportunities. And so there's just a host of ways to connect in to the academic side of our campus through the cultural centers. We can advance to the next slide. A really fantastic honor and a proud achievement that I'm happy to share with y'all. Just about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we were awarded and recognized the #1 LGBTQ friendly campus in the state of Indiana and the #13 LGBT friendly campus in the United States out of all colleges or universities that are out there. And so Purdue has really shown a tremendous institutional investment in the resources that we have in our cultural center at the LGBTQ Center. We have really, in the 8 years that the center's been open, grown tremendously. We have put a lot of work into developing a campus environment that is inclusive, that is respectful, that affirms folks, and that also does a lot of outreach and visibility work so that people know that this is a campus, that they will be safe, that they will be welcome, and if they need resources, right, they know that they can access them and they know how to come to the LGBTQ Center. And so the piece that you're seeing here, this was something that Purdue University just published in the Indiana Business Journal about a week ago. I apologize. My dog all of a sudden just decided to bring me her toys. So that's what you hear in the background. She comes to work at the LGBTQ Center once a week, by the way. And that's also one of the staff members at the LGBTQ Center. We have Pippa, my puppy, who is the assistant director at the LGBTQ Center. Can advance to the next slide. And if you want, you can hit the button so that all of the programs and events just pop up. Like our other cultural centers that have presented previously, there's a dynamic calendar of events and programs that happen throughout the year and all summer long too, that folks can participate and engage with, from dynamic speakers who come to campus, whether they are noted academics or celebrities, everybody that you can imagine who is somebody visible, member of the LGBTQ community, has at some point been engaged or has already come to campus. And we're working on bringing some of the most visible names that are out there for the year ahead as well. We do a lot of training on campus too. Part of the reason we were recognized recently is because we have one of the best safe zone training programs, as well as trans inclusion training programs on campus. And thousands of staff, faculty, and students have gone through these 3-hour safe zone trainings and 90-minute trans inclusion training workshops to develop that sense of inclusive behavior, language, all of the ways in which we want to build and foster a community of respect for everybody. Opportunities for students from the community to participate and share their stories. We have a speakers bureau. I mentioned the study abroad program where students can get involved and actually study LGBTQ history and culture by traveling abroad, we start in New York, then we go to Paris, then we go to Berlin. It's a 6-week study abroad program, and it's fantastic. And it's actually also won international awards for innovation. An opportunity to study the history of the community through College of Liberal Arts, and all kinds of ways to celebrate the success of students, including our graduation. I know Karina showed the picture of the graduation ceremony from the LCC. Similarly, when our Lavender graduation ceremony started 8 years ago, the first one that we ever held had 6 students, and they received their rainbow stoles. And it's a beautiful ceremony. Last year, our ceremony had just under 60 students, and it continues to grow every year. So it's a beautiful way to acknowledge the resilience, the persistence, and the journey that our students have throughout their time at Purdue University, and to celebrate as a community the friends and the family, and also the faculty and staff who are a part of that journey all along the way. I will mention quickly, Fabulous Friday is on there as well. You can see in the LGBTQ Center photograph right there that our multi-purpose room, we have a lot of chairs and we have tables that are on wheels. Those tables are also dry erase tables. They can be used for all kinds of stuff. But Fabulous Friday every week is a way in which we bring the community together, student, faculty, staff, anybody on campus. And we engage folks in some kind of an activity. Usually it's a craft activity or something that requires us to work collaboratively. And there's always some kind of a food as well. And people tend to bond well over food. And it's a way for us to de-stress either at the end of a week or to de-stress before a weekend, whatever's going on in our lives. And we usually, right, we drop titles. There's no doctor or mister or anything like that. We just go by names, first names, however we want to be called. And it's a way for us to just engage with each other as community and work collectively, collaboratively, completing projects together, playing a game, something like that. And it is modeled after the positive youth development model of art therapy. It's fantastic. And it's become one of our largest recurring projects. When it started 3 years ago, we would see about 4 to 5 people come to it on a weekly basis. Now we have usually on average between 60 and 80 people, and we've had as many as 125. We can go to the next slide. I mentioned the Distinguished Speaker Series. These are just some of the kinds of events and activities we've had within the past year or so. And I should note that the events and activities that are done through the LGBTQ Center and really through all of our spaces are often done as collaborative work. We don't operate in a vacuum or in isolation. And so you'll often see that the work that we do is done in partnership with many cultural centers, with academic units, with student organizations on campus. And so we'll bring speakers like the star of Pose from TV, MJ Rodriguez, or Stephanie Beatriz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Or most recently, we just had Ryan Russell, who is the first openly gay, openly bisexual member of the NFL, and he happens to be a Purdue alumnus. So he was recently at Purdue University in February. And we also have smaller sort of activities as well, like game night or Wellness Wednesday, where we just focus on people's well-being, meditation, breathing activities, mental health. And so we try and incorporate everything from smaller lunch and learn activities all the way up to the large-scale campus-wide programming. And again, it's all because we have the great campus partnerships and support from student organizations to academic partners to peer cultural centers. Next slide, please. And then, as noted with the other centers, throughout our space, you'll always have just a plethora of resources and services from not just the actual physical location like our library, and the computer lab that's there, but also from visitors who come and partner with us. So we have a weekly visitation from Counseling and Psychological Services, a weekly visitation from the Disability Resource Center, a weekly visitation from the Career Center, a weekly visitation from financial aid, so that students can access those resources in a space that's familiar to them. And that's become really important and powerful, so that students can become more familiar with the other campus resources before they actually may go over to those resources and explore where those offices might be. They can actually visit with a person from those spaces at the LGBTQ Center on a weekly basis. I mentioned the trans inclusion and safe zone trainings that we have on campus. Those are offered multiple times every month. We have all kinds of information about where folks might be able to find resources across campus and across the community. And of course, as mentioned by the other centers, we all have a computer lab that people can access. We have libraries, print and digital. I think we can go to the next slide. And then what do students say, right? I think this is one of the most important things. This is right from their mouths. So Students tell us that they were missing their family. We know that that's the case, right? But the friendly people at the center felt like family to them. They knew that they loved it here. When people were excited to see me, I felt welcomed and included at this place. I could do homework, have fun, and relax all in one place. There's always an adult you can talk to if you need someone to listen. Plus, there's always food. This is across the board true. We also, our sites, all of our centers are a site for the ACE Food Pantry if people need to take food home as well. It makes me feel like I'm welcome no matter where I come from. It has filled me with love and laughter. It brings out the best in me and encourages me to be better, more productive, and caring human being. And then you can just see that's one of the outdoor spaces outside of Schliemann Hall, which will just take over with a gigantic rainbow flag and just mark that space as sort of our outdoor space to sort of play and have fun in. And students will gather in that space. Next slide. We're on every social media that you can imagine. But the top ones that we use are Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We're also on Snapchat and all that other stuff that's out there. But these are where to find us at the best. So I encourage you to definitely look into following us, signing up for our newsletter as well. The newsletter comes out weekly, and we would love to hear from you and to stay in touch with you. So thank you again for having us.
All right, thank you, Lowell. And let me quit sharing this one. And next up, we have the Native American Educational Cultural Center. Did I get that right?
You got that right. Thanks, Jennifer.
Give me just a second and I'll get your slides up. But if you would like to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Okay, thank you so much. First, I'd like to thank Jennifer and John for allowing us to come and present to all of you this evening. It's such a pleasure to connect and to help to provide information about all the different resources that we have at our respective centers. I think the theme that you keep hearing throughout all the presentations, academic success, dynamic calendar of events, intersectionality, and just all these wonderful different types of resources we have on campus that are all here to provide students with as much support and success as we can. As a parent who has also sent their child off to college, I know sometimes it can get a little bit confusing and not knowing exactly what type of environment they're going into. And so I do applaud all the parents. You've worked really hard to get your students up to this level. So we're very happy that you have entrusted your students to come to Purdue and help us and to help them become part of our communities. So with that in, I am from the Native American Educational Culture Center. I am the director. I am originally from New Mexico, born and raised on a Navajo reservation. And with our motto, you know, your heritage has a home. And with that, we also like to say welcome in all the different languages that we have here. Coming from the Navajo Nation, we often say Yate, and that would be my way of greeting everybody. We have our motto here is just talking about how we provide services to Native American, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian students, faculty, and staff. At Purdue University, we have over 65 tribal nations represented. And if you look at across the country, there are over 574 federally recognized tribal nations. And with that in mind, we work really hard to provide an intertribal community where our students can come and learn about all the different types of programming, and we provide them with a safe space where they can talk about Native issues and to help them learn more about Native people. Okay, next slide. Oops. Okay, great. So the different type of services we provide to students, as I said, we provide safe and inclusive learning space for our students, faculty, and staff to learn about Indigenous cultures. And many times we will get students who will come in the door and talk about their Native identity. We have students ranging from coming from straight in a traditional Native environment, a community where they are actively engaged with their communities. They practice their own traditional ceremonies. And on the other end, we have students who they identify as natives, however, they're still looking to learn more. And so we provide that safe space where we're able to take down those barriers and where they can talk about the different issues that are taking place. And so we're very pleased that we have a very welcoming community. If you were to come and visit a center, you would see all the different types of artwork that we have on display, and it does, again, it represents our intertribal community. Throughout the year, we host Indigenous scholars, leaders, and elders and artists who come to Purdue to present seminars and to share their knowledge, ranging from art demonstrations from an artist up in Yellowstone National Park. We have hosted some of our returning alums who've come back and have shared their knowledge in terms of how they have been able to utilize their Purdue education, and now they're back in their own tribal community or in their home community where they are making a difference. Our discussions range from anywhere from historical to contemporary issues that are impacting tribal nations, and we try to make it as up to date and relevant as possible. Just for instance, today it was a major announcement that's just rippling throughout Native country in terms of the Washington team, which changed. They're in the process of changing their name, and this has been a long, hard fought battle with many Native groups, just because of how it has been degrading and how it was disrespectful to Native people. So undoubtedly we will have a lot of discussions once students return to campus. Additionally, we provide intercultural learning opportunities with the center in terms of students who are working on some type of multicultural research project, and this opportunity is available to all the cultural centers. But what we do is we invite students to come in and we talk about different type of projects they can work on. Some of the most recent projects, talking about the Three Sisters, talking about the relationship between the land and the nations, and looking at agriculture. With the Three Sisters, we're talking about corn, beans, and squash, and how important these three agricultural products, what the meaning is behind it with their particular tribes, and how they're able to, looking at how they were introduced in their legends and how they continue to play a vital role in many tribal communities. We also have had some really good discussion about climate change and environmental issues, and just a variety of different topics. And this really helps to raise awareness to different issues that are taking place. We've also had many students who have come to talk about their own Native identity, and sometimes that is often a hard topic to discuss, just because you're looking at Native people who have been raised in traditional communities, and how it's hard for them to come to Purdue and adapt to the coming to school, and sometimes being the only representative of Native communities within their classrooms. So we've had a lot of discussion helping prepare them for those type of topics. Okay, next slide. We are conveniently located the central part of campus, and just as you have heard from many of my colleagues, we have the same type of services through our respective centers. We all have computer labs, we have meeting areas, study space, educational resources through a library. We also have a kitchen area where we have conducted food demonstrations, and then we have ADA accessible areas, gender neutral restrooms. So this is another place where students can come and consider this their second home. And what's another really important thing that I think is that really the students are able to connect is that they can come from one place to another. You see students who will often come to the center, they're there to study, and then they'll go to the LCC because they know they can get a free lunch there, or they'll go to the LGBTQ Center for Fabulous Fridays, or then some will come from the Asian Center, from the ARC, to say, hey, it's too noisy over there and we want to study. So we do have a variety of people that come and use our services, and I think that really shows how the students have that level of comfortability to come and to just participate, or even just to hang out in all our respective areas. We have our Native population is fairly small at Purdue. We have over 200 Native students, but then that is self-identified. However, when students do come to campus, we try to help them identify their specific tribal nation they're coming from. So once this identification process is completed, we're able to provide additional services for those who could have access to different type of internship opportunities, funding opportunities. There are some programs out there that are specifically for Native students that have to show proof of Native identity. So with that in mind, we're able to help along that process. Okay, next slide. As you have heard this theme throughout all our presentations, is that many of the students consider our centers their second home. And so with that in mind, we encourage you to come to the NACC and make it your second home. As many parents and who are out there, if you're ever on campus and if you'd like to stop by the center, please contact us. As we have noted through all our presentations, is that we are under a different type of under a different time where we're having to adjust the level of services that we can provide. In that same respect, the NACC, we will be are open by an appointment only. So I would encourage you, if you're interested in coming, we have our email address here, our phone number, and our website. We'll have information on how to contact us. We are all over social media. You can follow us on these areas that I have listed here. Our theme has been Indigenize Purdue because we're really looking to make sure people understand what does it mean to be, when I say indigenized, that really means that we're looking at our indigenous cultures, which tends to be a more term that we're using because it represents all our First Nation, our Native American, Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian people. So in that respect, our goal is to indigenize Purdue. And let me see here. I want to make sure I covered all my points. We do have a number of events that will be coming up for the fall semester. We actually have some currently in progress for the summer. If you're interested, you're more than welcome to visit our website or follow us on social media. Next week we have some programs that are coming up. I'm sorry, this week we have a program coming up where we're featuring one of our local native photographers who is going to be providing us with some photography tips. We have a book club that's currently in progress, and we're going to have our book discussion at the end of the month. And then next month in August, we will be launching our fall programming, which will focus on several book discussions with some artists that are going to be, authors that'll be available. We have a wonderful partnership with the Idle George Museum, which is located in Indianapolis, and we'll be hosting two of the artists in residence at that time. And again, these all our programs will be featured virtually. So as parents and as students, you're welcome to join us. It's just going to be a matter of signing up, registering, and we can send you the information and how to reach us. Also, we will be celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day on October 12th, so that's going to be a big celebration. We'll be partnering with the Center for the Environment as well as other campus partners and colleagues. So again, I thank you all for coming and joining us, and if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to post them at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me stop sharing my screen for a minute here. I do see that we have several questions coming in. I also see that there have been several people send a chat to me. So do make sure that those questions are going into the Q&A section so that those get into the right place, because I am unable to follow the chat as we're going through this presentation today. One thing that I will note, one thing that did come across was, are we going to have Hillel or other cultural groups here tonight? No, but that is something that we can look forward to in the future. So if we have a lot of families that are looking at other areas, we're always looking for opportunities to give information to our families. So thanks for bringing that up. One of our last areas tonight, before we bring John back, is we have Karen from the Academic Success Center that is going to talk about their offerings. Karen, would you like to introduce yourself, and I'll get your slides pulled up. Did we lose Karen? Hold on just a minute. Apparently we got disconnected from Karen. So John, if you're ready, we can go ahead and go into the peer mentors piece. And then if Karen comes back, Oh, she just lost internet connection, so she's going to try to get back on. But John, if you'd like to go ahead and talk about our peer mentors, as soon as we get Karen back, we'll get her on.
Sounds like a plan, Jen. So I'm happy to talk about peer mentors. All of your students should be assigned a peer mentor. Your peer mentor is a current undergraduate student who's been through Summer Start or Early Start in the past. The peer mentor leads their orientation group. Peer mentors can take students to dinner. They could take students around campus, guide them through. They're really meant to be a leader and a role model for your students on campus. It's very likely, too, that your students have a number of questions that they won't ask us and they won't ask you as parents, but they are very comfortable asking another student. So peer mentors can serve as kind of that in between where they're a student, but they have kind of a quasi-professional staff and training. So if students share things with peer mentors may refer them to key resources across campus, like our CAPS, our counseling center, or to PUSH. This year, peer mentors could refer students to the Protect Purdue Health Center, for example. So we're very proud of them. Peer mentors have an outstanding academic record as well, and that's one area where they really help students thrive. Because already today in class this afternoon, I asked the students, do you notice any differences between Purdue and high school? And we could have kept going and going in my GS course. Classes are a little bit faster. Instead of covering a textbook or a given class, covering that book in the entire year, you're going to cover that in the semester. During Summer Start and Early Start, your students have fewer classes. Many of them are going to cover that whole textbook in 5 weeks. So it's very important for students to understand time management. An area too, many of your students, they're admitted to Purdue, probably didn't have to study much during high school. We see that all of the time. I would say 3/4 of students who come through the summer tell us they did not need to study much during high school. Well, at Purdue, they're going to need to study, especially if you have an engineering student who maybe they have a 36 on the ACT, unweighted 4.0, they're still going to take thermodynamics for time here, and they're going to have to study. Peer mentors are often really great role models of that. And peer mentors are really helpful where if your student does trip up a little bit at the beginning, your peer mentors can share their personal experience with your students. So tell them the same thing happened to me. I took my first quiz and I got a 50% on it at Purdue University, but then here's how I bounced back from that. And we may tell them, but again, they're much more likely to listen to other students as well and take that advice. If there are things similar, our peer mentors then will share information back to us as well so that we can help your students. And especially if they're in the Summer Start program, our peer mentors are in constant contact with our success coaches who are working with your students. They meet with them a couple times every week, and they'll relay that information quickly back to us. Similarly, if you all as parents, if your students share things with you that you want us to know, feel free to reach out to me directly and I can relay that information or connect you to the success coach. Now, there's many things we can't tell you because of FERPA, other policies. HIPAA is a big policy that's coming into play this year as well at Purdue. But anything you want us to know, please share that back. And then we can make sure that your students have the holistic support that they need. If you have questions about peer mentors, I think I see Karen's back, but you can drop your questions in the chat or the Q&A, not the chat, the Q&A, and I'm happy to answer them about our peer mentors. Thanks, Jen.
All right. Thank you, John. We're so glad to have Karen back. She is going to talk to us tonight about the Academic Success Center. So Karen, if you would like to go ahead and give us a introduction of yourself, I'll get your slides pulled up.
Okay, thank you. First, sorry about that. I just totally lost internet connection and I know it was my turn. So, but I'm Karen Jacobson. I'm Senior Assistant Director of the Academic Success Center at Purdue. And we are located in Wiley Residence Hall, which is right across the street from the Co-Rec Center, the Recreation Center on Jiskey. Although we are closed this summer, we will be open on when classes start and with our full services. But we still are here available to support your students. And there you see our website address and our phone number and our email, and we have staff that are answering student questions and from parents. If you can go to the next slide. And we are available for virtual academic consultations. And this is where your student can schedule an appointment with one of our professional staff to get help with things such as time management, study skills, note-taking, help to prepare for exams, and just what we're learning with the pandemic, how to deal with online classes and online learning. So we've added many resources to handle that topic. So students just make an appointment in Boiler Connect. And if they have any trouble with that process, we have screenshots that we can send your student. We can walk them through it over the phone. It's really quite easy, but initially it can be a little confusing if students are still trying to figure out what Boiler Connect is. So, but they'll get the hang of it. And you can go ahead and go to the next slide. We also have other resources available on our website. We have many handouts on all of academic success topics. We also have recorded webinars on student success topics such as time management and study skills, exam prep. So if you go to our website, those are free and on demand, and your student can click and watch that. Our GPA calculator is very popular. Students can plug in their grades and figure out what they need to get the certain GPA that they want. We also have on our website a list of all the different help centers and tutoring programs at Purdue. We're unlike a lot of universities where we don't have centralized tutoring and we don't offer content-based tutoring directly through the ASC, but we can help your student find the right resources. Go ahead, next slide. And so these are our services that will be fully available for fall 2020. Of course, I just talked about academic consultations, and those will continue, and we'll also offer an in-person option for students this fall if that's what they prefer. We have a peer success coaching program, which is sort of like consultations, but the student meets with a peer. Sometimes they feel more comfortable talking about their academic goals and social goals with another student rather than a staff member. So that will be available in the fall. And also supplemental instruction. And these are our peer-led group study sessions. All of our SI sessions will be online this fall, and our schedule will be out soon. And I did want to make a note that we have some SI sessions available this summer. And two courses in particular, I think many early start and summer start students, and that's Econ 251 and Management 200. And we do have SI available for those classes. So students should be able to link to join those online sessions through their course. Their instructor will let them know how to do that. If they have any trouble accessing the SI schedule for those classes, they can get in touch with us and we'll help them figure out how to join those sessions. And all of our services are free, and we encourage your students to seek us out. Again, we're not there physically until later in August, but we are here and ready to support your students. And you can go to the next slide, and there again is our information again. So
all right.
I'm to answer any questions you might have.
My computer doesn't want to work right now, so there we go. Thank you very much, Karen, and all of our presenters tonight, or all of our panelists tonight, for all of the wonderful information that you shared to all of our families.